Hello, everybody, and welcome back. We are about to start our last round of the PSS Week 7. So after this, we will know who our top four is. We have a match between Michael Arnold and Tom Metelsky. I'm Michael Hype. I'm joined not by Lanny Huang, as shown in my graphic, but I am joined by Will Hirst. Will, we said goodbye to you earlier tonight, but you're already making your PSS return. So
I am, and I'll take all the airtime I can get because I'm just gonna shill for all my stuff and just be a cute, beautiful face for everyone there.
okay,
Yeah, I think Lanny may have been tapped out at this point.
all right. I will jump to the wrong match. We already saw that. Okay, so Dex, I have Mike Arnold. He has brought the Star Spangled Slaughter, the Dead Guy Ale, and the Dark Secret. So like the Natural Order Rock list. While Tom has Blue White Stifle Knot, Blue White Landstill, and the Rock. So do you want to make a guess on what these players are playing? Should we just jump over to the decks?
I'm gonna say Tom on land still. Mike Arnold on Dead Guy.
Okay. As we jump over, first, Mike Arnold will be playing the Dark Secret deck. So,
All right.
Natural Order is a big component of this deck. It is, I guess, if you take the Rock and say, okay, I'm going to add Natural Order and a couple fatties, it gives it a whole new dimension. It's no longer the deck that like disrupts the opponent and then has a difficult time like closing out the game. You having a 4-mana sorcery that is able to get like a Verdant Force or a Phantom Nishoba or possibly, I think, Multani Marrow Sorcerer are some of the options. Can really just change how the deck like approaches certain matchups. You definitely can go over the top of certain decks or have a very powerful threat that decks have to worry about. So really interesting to see this list. Mike has had some success with it in the PSS so far. I think he's 2-0 with it. And I'm excited to see how it performs in this last match.
Yeah, it should be certainly interesting. The only concern with the 4-mana is running up against 2 blow decks, and kind of just trying to run that out against counterspells, even with therapies and duresses, may be a bit challenging. But there's other aspects of the deck that fight that matchup, so we should be having fun.
All right, and Tom, it will be on the Blue-White Stifle Knot list. So similar to what Rich had just played. But yeah, so looking to summon a Dreadnought and protect it with counter magic, and also has the Meddling Mages to kind of preemptively help keep that Dreadnought in play. So if you had to take a guess, who do you like in this matchup?
I think I like Blue-White Stifle Knot. I think it is very resilient to both therapy and duresses, and has answers to things like Pernicious Steed. I think I like it still. I think it's favored.
Yeah, I will say like the natural order aspect of the deck, I don't feel like shines super well. Like for one, it's 4 mana, it's easily countered, and then even if it does resolve, like a Dreadnought might be better than a Phantom Nishoba, a Verdant Force, or a Multani Mirror Sorcerer anyways. So
Shrimp Boy's big.
So I'm interested to see how this thing turns out. Let's jump down to the match and let me reorientate some things and reset life totals. And if you want to let our players know they can begin, well, I do believe I need to do my life or the prediction from the last match and award the points to those who bet on Rich. So
sounds good. Should I still let them know to go then?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Looks like they're both going to keep 7.
Okay.
Start off. And who was on the play?
I believe Tom won the die roll.
Tom won the die roll. But yeah, no, overall, this whole PSS, everyone has echoed it, has been just an amazing experience seeing all the matches. All right, so treetop for Mike. Tom led on an island.
All right, prediction should be up. You guys have a couple minutes. Good old Treetop Village. So were you watching that last match?
I was.
found
I
some
was quite
found some other things to do at the same time.
no, I was actually really invested. If
Okay,
early Dreadnought, we'll come back to that
I'm
thought.
gonna say we might not be anywhere close to the amount of time that we were in that last game or that last match.
All
So
right. So Dreadnought here, not too much Mike can do at the moment. I mean,
yeah, I think most of his plays. I guess he has. I think he has. Let's see. I think he has the Vendettas. Is that his removal
mhm.
spell?
I think so. And
He does. He
indeed,
has a couple naturalized main deck. He
hmm
has two Vendettas. So not a lot,
yeah.
but
I mean, Vision Charm's so good there to be able to allow for an untapped step
sure.
um in between threats. Mike playing a bird, so he takes 8. He's looking at a possibility of,
He takes 8.
Vendetta.
He
Or
goes
sorry,
goes
12.
down
He
goes
took
on
12.
the.
I can do math. I can
I
do
say
math. It's okay.
I would say, is that like a special ability? Like I only take 8 damage from dreadnoughts. That would be a cool superpower.
It would be. Yeah, no, it's definitely 12 and it's not close to 11 p.m. here and I've been up for a while, so it's okay. Um it's kind of just Mike just has to jam
Ooh.
on upkeep.
Okay.
There it is.
Okay. I guess this
Uh,
gives if Tom's protection mechanism was a vision charm, it will buy him some time.
it will. It's hard to imagine Tom not having an answer to this, though it is always possible. Gushing.
He's
All
gonna
right.
start with a gush. He's flowed 2 mana. Uh, I don't know if that means that. I guess it could just mean that you're setting up a foil. I would say like
Yeah. I mean, the deck doesn't mind having islands in its hands. Dreadnought's already out there. It's doing the work.
that's fair. This is not like a matchup where like your land drops being in play is as valuable as some of the other matches we've seen. We do see the
So,
foil, discarding a stifle and an island. So,
and then
yep, that is
yep, there it is.
that's enough for Mike Arnold. Yeah, so the dreadnought wins in mysterious ways, but sometimes
Yes.
sometimes it just summons a dreadnought and
And
knocks your opponent down.
yeah, sometimes there's not much you can do. Yeah, I mean, there's really not much to say about that matchup right there. They're gonna go to sideboards, and I assume Mike gets a whole bunch more weapons if I
All right,
remember his list.
yeah, I can. All right, I got Mike's list up. So 2 Torment Script, 2 Duress, 2 Vendetta, 2 Naturalize, 3 Engineered Plague, 1 Haunting Echoes, 2 Ravenous Baloth, and 1 Wood Ripper. Ooh, we get to see Wood Ripper, right?
Yes,
This has to be the Wood Ripper matchup.
it definitely has to be.
Okay, I also would anticipate 2 Duress and 2 Vendetta and 2 Naturalize coming in. So a lot of tools coming in for Mike. What do
Yes.
you want to take out? Do you just take out the natural orders?
Yeah, they don't like it outclass. One, it's never going to resolve. Two, even if it does, like what do you get that matters? That puts a fast enough clock. I think it's probably your least effective part of this matchup. So you take out at least 4 of those. Um, it's possible. I mean, you take out those and you take out the natural order targets. So that's what, 4,
7, and you could take out a
7,
planes probably, right?
probably.
And then you bring in 6, 7 cards. 2 Duress, 2 Vendetta, 2 Naturalize, 1 Wood Ripper. Guess you could throw in. I mean, maybe you leave the planes in. You could bring in a Ravenous Baloth or a Haunting Echoes, or
Yeah.
so.
Or I mean, you could leave in like a Verdant Force as something late or something. I don't know. But I mean, Mike's got a pretty good. BK said it kind of a little bit best in chat, just turning into a normal rock deck essentially.
Yeah, but Mike's deck does get a lot better in these sideboard games.
Yes.
All right. I do have Tom's list up. So a Hydroblast, a Blue Elemental Blast, a Flash of Insight, a Winter Orb, 3 Swords of Plowshares, and a Null, 2 Curse Totem, 2 Disenchant, 2 Last Breath, Armageddon. I do like the Winter Orb. Um,
A null comes in for the pernicious, probably,
okay.
right?
It's a yeah, that's certainly a way. Like, I've seen people bring in Swords of Plowshares against like the clock of the rock, like try and reduce the Ravenous Baloths. Um, I guess I will know like
Yeah.
if Mike needs to take out the natural order package, I don't know if he feels like his deck is too threat light and needs to bring in those like Ravenous Baloths that are in his sideboard, or if they're just or if
Maybe.
they're more of just the this is just a card against burn. Um,
Um, I mean, the life gain doesn't matter. It's a clock. I think it'd be interesting. I think Tom might be interested in the Armageddon possibly. Like, I don't know if the Rock deck recovers from an Armageddon with the way that Tom is able to manipulate his lands with gushes and such.
Yeah, I think in general, the Rock needs to hit a lot of the land drops, so I could see Armageddon coming into play. But there also might be some awkward situations where, like, if Mike has a little bit on the board, that it feels a little bit awkward to cast an Armageddon, even if you are able to like gush first. But
Yeah,
yeah, I think Armageddon's probably worth bringing in.
yeah.
Do you
Looks
know
like
do you know what cards you would take out?
um I think oh man, I don't maybe Days is so good early with this in this matchup. Are the ops kind of like the saddest cards?
Yeah, I mean, like I could see just like kind of shaving that. Like, also, I don't know. Do you ever cut a meddling mage just because their threat their answers are really diverse, and so it's like you name naturalized and then they just get a vendetta, but or they have a pernicious deed or something. I don't know if that ever happens, um, but I probably cut the ops first. I think.
Yeah, I think ops is first on the chopping block. A lot of my experience with Dreadnought came from the block, blue shrimp before the white innovations. I like mage because it's both a body that can block, it's a threat, and it can turn off whatever you think the relevant threat is, or a relevant threat. Maybe, yeah, no, I think the ops, and then maybe like shave, I don't know, a counter spell for like an annul or something if you bring it in,
Okay.
just because maybe you don't want to be tapping 2 mana instead of 1. Um, see, it looks like you have to keep in mage. People are saying Arjun, not master. Francisco saying he'd bring in Warb, Geddon, and Flash.
Flash of insight. Okay.
Yeah, cut an STP, maybe a knot and a land. I trust Francisco. My experience with this deck is a lot less than previous iterations of Dreadnought.
Okay.
So let them know they can go. It looks
Yep.
like
Yep.
sweet, sweet, sweet.
Yeah. So I definitely like the improvements that Mike has made with his deck. I feel like the sideboard helps him out a lot.
Yeah, he
Question is,
just
is like,
gets.
is he able to win two in a row?
I mean, I think you can. The volume of answers he brings in, it feels real good. Sometimes it might be the problem with Vendetta. Sometimes why I don't like it, and I'm on record of liking,
Innocent
like
blood.
Innocent Blood, where it's like you cast one. Just make sure I'm not an idiot. Vendetta is it power or toughness? It's power
Toughness.
or toughness. So like after one Vendetta, the other ones are just kind of dead cards.
I like how you asked that question. Like when your aunt,
It doesn't matter.
I would say
Hey,
you.
it is 11 o'clock. Leave me alone. I'm tired. All right. Let's just keep it there and be happy that I made it at all.
Okay.
Um, it just becomes such a dead card afterwards.
Sure.
That's why I don't enjoy it. But the volume of threats increases dramatically.
I'll
And
say
if
it
you
like
get
specifically in Mike's case. I think he only has. Oh, I guess he brought in extra vendettas. I'll say the first vendetta is great. The second one, obviously, like you don't want it. But a lot of times when I play against Dreadnought, I'm not usually as concerned about the second Dreadnought. I'm worried about dying about to the first one. So I am happy to
that's
have.
fair.
If I have two vendettas in my opening hand, it's like okay, well then either I'm going to kill a dreadnought or one's going to get countered and then I have a second answer. So like I usually don't mind having multiple vendettas even against the dreadnought.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, but if we get to see a Wood Ripper, I'm just gonna wake up completely.
Okay.
That's how that's gonna be.
I think we could
Uh,
all I think all of us can just get behind the Wood Ripper. We can be on the Wood Ripper chain.
all right, so we got a duress and a bird. Looking like the Armageddon did come in along with a stifle. And I cannot tell the farthest
It's a counter
left
spell.
card. Is it a counter spell? Okay.
Yep.
I imagine the stifle to slow him down. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Mike now has a good idea of what Tom has, what he's working with. He knows about the Armageddon, which is something he could like hold some lands, or if he's just going to wait and then just discard it with another discard spell.
Mm-hmm. I think, yeah. I wonder if seeing that hand, he might be answer light to a dreadnought this early. Because I would think if he had like +2 answers after seeing the hand, he maybe gets the Armageddon just to nullify the threat. But we'll see how it pans out. All right. So typical dreadnought plays island go. In comes a deed.
Okay, so
baiting out that counter spell. Because there's no, I mean, I suppose if he draws another stifle, it's hard to imagine Tom willingly letting that resolve.
yeah, I would say like I don't think there's any sequence where you. No, I would say like Armageddon and try and like take out the mana, but there's already birds in play, and like yeah, I don't think you can really. This seems like a card you need to resolve, or like counter, unless you're planning on just drawing more stifles, I guess, or vision charms.
Yeah. All right, so there's the counter.
It's kind of nice, like that. A lot of times you have to decide. Like usually you keep vision charm because it's better against removal spells, but it's funny against like pernicious deed or seal cleansing that both vision charm or stifle answers those responses.
Yeah. All right. Tom going to crack a beautiful fetch. Yeah. Excuse me. Josh. I'm here. Meddling Mage.
What do you think you name here in Tom's spot? I don't.
I think you name.
Well, it's kind of funny because like people were talking about him naming or taking the stifle earlier in the turn, and does that get like tip your hand at all? Like saying that you don't have a removal spell like swords,
Yeah.
or sorry, vendetta or naturalize.
I think you might say. I think you say Pernicious Deed still, because Pernicious Deed answers your Dreadnought, also answers a Meddling Mage, so it takes care of two things.
Okay.
Oh, Deranged Hermit. Fair enough.
Okay. How many copies does Mike have of that?
Is it 2 or 3?
He just has two copies. So that's the card that Tom fears the most here.
Okay. He did keep natural orders in. Really?
All right. Well.
Okay. Well, there it is. Let's go. Let's go to Shoba.
Yeah. This. I mean, it looks
I'm
fine
upset
here.
that
Right?
he didn't. I'm upset he didn't natural order into Wood Ripper.
Michael says, "Would you like to cast Armageddon right now?"
That's I I'm with Chad. I did not expect the natural order to be happening. That's ballsy,
All right, we
in
got
my
two
opinion.
mana, so we got a gush coming. Yep. If
Armageddon?
no,
It
he
can't
only.
be,
Well,
right?
I mean, no. I think he's looking for a stifle or a vision charm.
Right.
I will say Mike has played around days. I think most this game. So,
He
but
has.
I guess
I
he
just
knew. I knew he knew a lot of what it was in Tom's hand when he cast that natural order. So he was pretty confident. I think there was maybe one unknown, or
yeah.
maybe it
I
was
just
two. I don't know.
I can't believe the natural orders are still there. I'm kind of blown away by this. It's awesome, but I was not expecting this at all. That
I wonder if players are gonna like revisit their sideboards, or like especially like Tom, if like because maybe he had the same thought process of like thinking that Mike wasn't going to be on the natural order just because it's 4 mana and it can be disrupted a little bit more easily.
I
Um,
mean, if he didn't keep in the swords, like Neshoba can reasonably race a dreadnought.
well, it's certainly yeah. Like oh, we're Armageddon here. That is,
That what? Okay, okay. I I'm surprised by that.
I guess if you get to the point where it it proactively plays around the removal spells of Mike, like if he had a card like Naturalize in hand, and Tom has a Vision Charm or a Stifle, this is a way that like he can get the Dreadnought into play and not have it die. Like because then Mike has to draw like two lands. But the problem is like as you said, the Phantom Neshoba lines up pretty well against the Dreadnought because it
Yeah.
gains life. So I
And
don't.
now that Mike's got an attack in with the Neshoba, like he's already I don't know. That play just makes me I mean, I don't think he's got the sword still in his deck. I don't think he brought him in.
Yeah.
Uh yeah. I mean, this is chaos according to chat. Like absolutely none of this was expected. We as commentators have been completely wrong. So, cool. I mean, I guess there's a world where he so bad. Like he has to play Dreadnought, Stifle, and then essentially he can never attack with that Dreadnought again, right? Until he plays a second one.
You could. Oh no, you're right. I was gonna say he could stifle a life gain trigger, but it's not the life gain that he's concerned about. It's the damage.
Yeah, he can't. Like he has to go like Dreadnought, play second, like get a second Dreadnought. I so some in chat are saying it's obvious that some stay in. Fair enough for the natural orders. I definitely wasn't seeing that as obvious, so I'll lean into that. I can see it. It's obviously paying dividends here. Another meddling mage. Naming Vendetta? Maybe?
I don't know if it matters at this point.
Naming Therapy? Okay.
All right. The Metal Mage will get in the way of the 6/6 Trampler. So now I'll go to
Yes.
2.
What an interesting game. All right.
I have to imagine that means
I feel like a Dreadnought Dreadnought has to come down here, obviously, right? Unless he's been like slow rolling a swords.
no,
Oh,
he's not. He did have a Vision Charm, but so he could have
oh
put a Dreadnought into play, but that's not very good against because it phases out.
yeah.
So yeah,
Um,
Mike equalizes with a I guess unexpected natural order, but I guess that's why they call it secret force, right?
Yeah.
The secret.
Ro- so Robin was making the point in chat that it makes sense if you have a one of Wood Ripper that you would keep some number in to more reliably find it in a matchup where it matters.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense, but there's also like he's also bringing in like a lot of other cards that like kind of do that redundant effect where he might not want like I mean it is a risk playing natural order against a deck with counter spells. So
Hmm. Yeah, it's. I was surprised by a lot of that. Players obviously going back to their sideboards. Tom seems as if he was caught off guard by the natural order still being there. So one would assume.
yeah, I don't know if this makes him rethink like Swords to Plowshares if Tama put a higher priority on having those.
Hmm. I would think so. At least a copy or two. Like he can shift some things around. That match was almost like getting caught with the pants down kind of thing. It's like, oh crap, not what I expected. So got to hedge a little bit against it. This matchup's really interesting. It's one of those matchups where if it goes longer, it favors obviously the rock. So Tom probably has to sculpt the early hand as quickly as possible. So I really think it's interesting. And I like the way Mike played that. We'll see how game 3 goes. Tom on the play and see how it comes out the gate.
Yeah, I mean I like the rock a lot, but I also like it in the spot. Like I'm not unhappy to play against Dreadnought, and it feels like Michael's sideboard has enough tools to fight what Tom is trying to do.
Yeah. Now that additionally a point made in chat was now that Tom has kind of seen the idea, instead of saying deranged tournament, his meddling mage could say like a natural order and prevent that.
Mm-hmm.
So Chad is correct in which, even if he doesn't change how he boards, even though I think he probably changed it at least a tiny bit, or at least it seemed like he did, he may have a better idea of naming with mage and how to approach the match. But no, either way should be a great game 3. Both players duking it out here, so can't complain about that.
Yeah.
But going back to kind of what we were saying beforehand about observing that last match, I really think this PSS has shown the power of adding that brain freeze plan to the Dreadnought matchups
I know
or to
you
the Dreadnought deck.
you've been a fan of Brain Freeze in a lot of different decks, so
It is. It's a very difficult card to combat if that's what you're playing towards. Looks like Wind leading off with a Flooded Strand here. But I think that may be one of the breakout things of this PSS that will hopefully catch on, in my opinion.
yeah.
Cabal Therapy coming from Mike Arnold here.
You just name Dreadnought in the dark. Yeah, I mean it might depend
Probably.
on like what your hand's trying to do. If you have a natural order hand, I can see you naming the counter spell, but
Yeah. Um.
Tom is responding. Does that potentially mean he has a daze?
Possibly. Um. Is this a matchup where you want to set yourself back that 1 mana?
Uh, I think you're potentially okay with that if you like have a fast combo. Like
Mm-hmm.
if
Oh.
oh he had 2 dreadnoughts.
Oof. Okay, so that's rough.
Okay, so the rest of Tom's hand is a foil, a Swords of Plowshares, an Attakar Waste, and a Meddling Mage. So he'll be able to cast a Meddling Mage on turn 2.
That's rough. Um, I don't know if there's any world in which, unless he drew that Adhikar from his draw step or the, I assume if he had the foil, he had to have just drawn that
Well, it
waste.
was a flooded strand and not an island.
Or sorry,
Oh,
but if he had
I was
the,
saying like it's not like he played an island from his
yeah,
hand.
yeah,
Is
yeah,
that
yeah,
that's
yeah,
what
yeah.
you're saying?
Okay, no, you're right. Sorry, I'm look at the screen. Cards explain things, and screens do things. All right, so we're gonna shut up. Meddling Mage coming on out here. Meddling Mage. I do not know what you name with Meddling Mage here. Is it natural order? But maybe it's too early for that.
Well, you do
His
have a
hand's been
swords. Do have a swords in your hand. I don't know.
therapy. Okay,
Okay.
that's reasonable. Getting 2 dreadnoughts is just
Tom is likely going to
it.
have to spend a good amount of resources to find the third one. So
Yes, and now with a blocker, obviously for the Meddling Mage, it's not like he has a clock. Unfortunately. My assumption is Tom is probably against the wall here. You could like try and like swords a wall to start getting in there with.
it's a
I
really
don't know.
aggressive line, but I guess that would just leave the opportunity for like if the mage becomes a problem, that you just use the pernicious deed.
I would think this is a rough spot. Therapy, when good, is, absolutely devastating. I know it's just last weekend it was used quite effectively against me and made my days very unhappy.
Yeah.
But if there's a player who's played this deck a lot and is just knowledgeable on all fronts, it's Tom. And if he's a guy I would trust to find a way to pull it back. So we are going the aggressive line, it looks like.
Yeah. All right, Tom's gonna attack with a meddling mage. I guess Mike has the option. Okay, he will take 2 damage. I think that's a reasonable play. Like, it is a little bit awkward because of cards like Stifle and Vision Charm. That if he ever gets a Dreadnought down, that Pernicious Deed is not a super clean answer, and we'll see if that comes to anything. But I mean, like, there's 2 Dreadnoughts down already. Like, you can't imagine like the likelihood of Tom quickly assembling a new Dreadnought.
I don't know. I've seen some unlikely things happen so far within this event. You never say never, right?
That's true.
Absolutely never say never. All right. So the aggressive plan just going to work here. Tom probably just very content sculpting this hand with the mage. It may be a make you deal with the mage first problem, and then try and go for a dreadnought. Flash.
Right. Flash of Insight for 1. I guess I will say usually I think the flashback is kind of what you're looking to do to get a lot of value out of it. Because you don't have that much mana, but you have a lot more blue cards with the Xerox style deck.
And so, another thing for Tom is Mike is not presenting a threat right now in, some would say maybe typical rock fashion. We've opened the door but are refusing to step through and close it. So that is giving Tom chance to recover, sculpt a hand that he needs to get around the threats that are there. Yeah. Mike, you're a very big rock enthusiast. How have you found this match to be? And I know your versions of rock are different than this, but the general game plans are somewhat similar.
Yeah, I think the Rock has a lot of tools to disrupt what the Dreadnought plan is doing, and especially because the Dreadnought has to commit 2 cards in sequence to get that threat into play. I think that the Rock definitely does a good job of not dying to the Dreadnought initially. It just comes down to whether you're able to pressure your opponent. And I mean, Mike's way of doing that is with Natural Order, which might be, I guess, some of the incentive of why he has kept them in. That he has less threats in, like, doesn't have as many Ravenous Balos in the main or whatnot. Like, doesn't have as many creatures. I mean, I guess usually other people are playing like Phyrexian Ranger or something, so it's not that big of a clock. But Mike is saying, okay, I'm gonna answer your Dreadnought, and then just play a Natural Order, or in this case, just play a Deranged Hermit, and I think that's a fine game plan. So,
definitely. I mean, he's going to start having to put down threats to either force out counters or answers from Tom. Because as it stands, if we're looking at it, Tom has 2 real threats and then mages that can be dealt with in better order. So he has to start counterspell. Okay, there it is.
yeah, I mean,
Tom has
also
to be able to protect that Dreadnought when he plays it.
I'll note Tom did have 4 mana up and a foil that Mike knew about. So he did have the option to hard cast foil in that spot, but it looked like he opted to just use the 2 mana and cast the counterspell, which I guess is saying that he's. I mean, I guess what are you using that foil for? Like protecting your Dreadnought is coming to my mind, but I don't know. I feel like I would use my foil there.
I think foil might be of greater use, like if he's ever needing to like gush in something and then have like double an answer or something like that. All right, there's that. So that therapy or that mage naming therapy has got to be putting in work, because there's one in the yard. Mike has drawn a lot of cards. I think it's harder when you can't see the way the therapy can provide, and Tom has got Mike down to 7.
Yeah, it's funny how much damage this melee mage, and I think some of Mike's mana has done some damage, but yeah, the melee Mike at 7. I mean, like, I don't know if Tom would ever be able to sneak in lethal damage with a melee mage against the Rock, but
he might be sitting on a stifle. Like one stifle on that pernicious deed makes this melee mage just even more of a threat. He's already countered 2 of the haymakers Mike has put out there.
So I guess that is a reason to not use the foil. I mean, if Tom does have a card like Stifle that he didn't want to tap out in fear of Mike using that Pernicious Deed when he's tapped out.
Yeah, I cannot at this point imagine Tom does not have a Stifle for that deed. That would surprise me greatly. Not sure why he's not using. I mean, it might not matter, but using the bird to pop the deed, which surprises me.
All right, so the deed gets activated and it does resolve.
Yeah, so threat cleared. Here comes the gush. Yep. Followed quickly by Dreadnought number 3.
So we know
If
how many
I'm making
cards is in Mike's hand.
the 3, I think he's at a full 7, if not more.
All right, he's gonna cash the Flash of Insight. So this gets to exile 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards. So is it, or oh, it's more than 5.
It's some amount of cards.
Super Impulse.
The Super Impulse. Impulse is such a good card. I wonder. Mike's got to have a full grip here too.
Yeah, I don't feel like Mike has. I guess he played 2 Drain tournaments in back-to-back turns, but I feel like he hasn't been playing many threats beyond the. I mean, he went Cabal Therapy and Pernicious Deed, but then and then I guess the Drain tournaments, but he hasn't done much after that.
Yeah. So no mana floating. It's gonna take 1. Go get a plains. No, go get an island. Sorry, I lied. An interesting point made in chat is Mike kind of let his life total get small enough now where Vendetta is a dead card against Deed
Or against the Dreadnought, yeah.
or against a Dreadnought. That's not.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll. I mean, knowing that 2 of them are gone, I think makes you feel a little bit safer. But like, also you have 4 Vendettas in your deck, and so they're awkward cards to draw. I mean, they still get a Meddling Mage, I guess, but yeah, it does make sense.
Pass from Tom here was not able to find the action. He so both players just playing a good game here. I think Tom may have to go to his discard step. Is that what they're talking about?
I don't know. Francisco's asked why Tom had used what Portent before fetching, or why would he fetch before Portenting? The only reason I could think of is the cards that he had seen with Flash of Insight were good, and he wants those possibly to be on top.
Yeah, that's possible. So foil getting discarded. And the waiting game continues.
Who do you like in the waiting game?
I think I have to like Mike in the waiting game. He is, however, not putting any respect on the name of Armageddon anywhere in here.
Sure.
Which could be a blowout. There's the Armageddon.
He does see it, so which Tom would have be able to go Gush and Armageddon the next turn.
That's getting countered. Maybe I don't think like there's a way that. Well, no. Does that get countered, or does he make him sacrifice the creature to flash back the therapy?
Well, the Wall of Blossoms gives you a card, so I can see the idea of foiling the creature.
Gotcha.
But in general, I think you would wait for the flashback against something that didn't draw.
So here's about what's going to happen. It's going to be float 2, Gush. Armageddon in your face, make a land.
Well, we do see the Gush.
There's no way he does an Armageddon here. Absolutely none. Yep. There's that.
All right, so we're kind of back to square zero, though. Tom gets to start with a land drop, and he's got
a portent. Good
for it.
So, yeah, as we were saying a bit earlier, if there's lines to find our way back, we can trust Tom to maneuver himself. He's not out of the woods yet. He still needs to find that dreadnought, but Armageddon is a big old, yeah. I don't.
I mean, there still is a therapy in Mike's graveyard, so
That's true.
that could be problematic if any creature comes down that he is at least able to. Well, he doesn't have a lot of time anymore.
Nope. That yeah. Okay. He has a Daze and a Vision Charm. I can't imagine he's.
Yeah,
That
and
Daze is.
yeah, with this untapping, like, okay, there's a naturalized, but there's a daze that Mike knows about, right?
Yeah.
I think this is just game.
Well, not quite. Or he was at 12. Yeah.
No, he was at 6.
Oh, was he? Oh, that's right. I was looking at the wrong times. Yeah, that's well.
Yeah. So I mean, from a sequence that we talked about, like that we thought was a position that was good for Mike, and we do see some clunky cards, some natural orders, Multani and Verdant Force. So the natural order that Shine had shown in game 2 looks a little bit clunky in game 3. So
yeah, it's I mean, that you could argue that is both Tom just like finding the right line and doing what you need to get into a good position, and you could also term it as, Mike having an amazing start and just couldn't like put anything there once things got going.
mm-hmm.
So, a great match all around.
Yeah. So let's jump down. Let's listen into the players. We can get an idea of their thoughts.
But yeah, my hand ended up kind of clunky because, like, I ended up drawing, like, I had a Verdant Force in hand. It's like, okay, that's not like the worst. But then I draw like the Multani and the 2 Hermits right there, and I want a little bit more interaction than the way that it panned out. And of course, just being stuck on the lands with expensive stuff in hand. Just the way it goes.
Yeah. Mute that now.
Yeah.
So
I had in Nishoba. Yeah.
Hey guys, how we doing?
Not bad, not bad. So I had Nishoba in for game 2, and then I was like, I probably want Verdant Force, rather than Nishoba, because Verdant Force is a little bit better against swords. Because I was living that whole game 2, just like, does he have a swords? Does he have a swords? And I was lucky that he didn't. But so that came out in game 3, and then I trimmed a natural order, trimmed a recurring nightmare, elder, and 2 factories.
Okay. Yeah,
So, yeah,
I guess we were a little surprised that like the natural order, we thought just like that might be like a clunkier card that could get dazed or whatnot that would come out, and because you did have a lot of interaction that would come in, but then yeah, I guess it does kind of cut down on your way to close out a game.
Yeah, you need. I mean, it's the game plan, so you can't cut it entirely. But I've found that cutting 1 is usually pretty good against blue decks, because then you're not all in on it. You have a you're going to have time to be able to set it up, so you don't need like all 4 usually. And yeah, you just have to pick your spots. But yeah, that was kind of just a clunky hand, as the rock does. But it is, yeah, it was fun to play. So like as a true mid range player, I finished right in the middle 3-4, but not quite 50%.
Yeah,
no, you did better than me, so it's all right. You're doing good. But that was. Tom, were you, from your end, caught off guard by the natural order in game 2, and did it make you reevaluate how you were playing going into game 3?
Yeah. I thought Michael, you were going to cut them all. I wasn't sure, but that was like I knew your deck kind of leans on that, so I wasn't sure if you were going to cut all of them or just a few. But I did cut Daisies on the draw, and then when I saw that, well, I was going to bring them back in on the play anyway, but I wouldn't have boarded them out if I expected you to keep them in. But I really wasn't sure.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I felt
no,
like a good spot. Game 2, I knew most of your hand, and so it was, pretty much if you didn't have,
Right.
I
That's
forget
true.
if
That's
you had,
also true.
but yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna. So I named the meddling mage was on deranged tournament because I thought you boarded out the natural orders.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was game 1. I'm definitely naming natural order, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
So the game 3, the therapy having such a great massive hit initially. Tom, what were your thoughts like after that therapy hit as far as the game plan? Was it just immediately, were you immediately digging for another dreadnought, or you're like, okay, I have this metal mage which did a lot of work obviously, and then just slowly creep in, making sure I find a stifle for this, pernicious deed if it came to it? Like what was the game plan after kind of that initial therapy that ripped the hand apart a little bit?
Yeah, you got to like be prepared for that. So like I had 2 in my opening hand, and I was like, all right, the turn 1 therapy gets me here. So I did opt. I was like, if I hit a daze, I'll probably counter. But even then, it's not that good being set back a land.
Mm-hmm.
So I just kind of wanted to opt for info, like more value for myself. And I didn't find the daze, and I don't even know if I would have done it honestly, but yeah, I mean Dreadnought is just so resilient, and it's like with its consistent game plan, like I was able to rebuild honestly, and then the Armageddon tech adds like something in this like in like these mid-range matchups where like I can just rely on that as like I can counter everything until I can find Armageddon, and then like I'm not going to fall behind on Armageddon because of Gush and Daze and stuff. So
Yeah.
it's like Armageddon doesn't even affect the Dreadnought deck. I was going to do Armageddon a turn earlier, but I was like, okay, I can just wait for him to deploy another resource because I didn't find Dreadnought yet,
Mm-hmm.
and counter that and make him waste more like resources or put another land into play. So I spared 1 more turn just because I thought like, okay, I have another counter spell, I can do it.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting. And then Flash of Insight too, just like ridiculous value.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny that card didn't see like a lot more play until like as like more like the past 6-7 months. But it's a good sideboard card for Dreadnought again against these type of matchups. But Michael played good. I mean, he named the therapy. I mean, he named the Dreadnought exactly when he needed to. But I also felt like Meddling Mage needed to name therapy. I think I named it twice.
Yes, you did.
It's like the most important card. Like you gotta like protect your assets,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then Mike, with the game plan, game 3, hitting the therapy, we were commenting a little bit like that you just essentially it appeared without knowing your hand like there was just no respect for the Armageddon, but that had to be dictated by the fact that your hand was high casting cost, right? There just wasn't really much of another option.
What else did I do?
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if you listened to this, but I told Tom like I should have led on the Wall Blossoms instead of the therapy in that turn just before the Armageddon,
Mm-hmm.
because then it's on. Yeah, I'm pretty much guaranteed because then it turns on the therapy in my yard. So I get at least 2 chances. But unfortunately, just with the timing, he knew that blind therapy didn't hit, and then he could counter the Wall Blossoms and be scot-free. So it would have been a lot better for me to lead on the Blossoms, but yeah.
Yeah, how many Wall of Blossoms have you countered in your day, Tom?
You know what? When I counted that, Mike, I was thinking this might be the only time I've ever done it. It was, but it's awkward. Like, I mean, I had to. It's just like that is a funny question.
Because you can't. You knew about if he leads with Wall of Blossoms, do you think you counter it? Do you assume he's sitting on a therapy? I know we're playing a little bit of a Monday morning quarterback there, but it is an interesting thought.
Yeah, I think you have to. I think
I pretty much name Armageddon there because if I lead on Blossoms and you counter, I know you have a Haymaker, and I actually know that you have I have Multani in my hand, with both of us having pretty large hands. So Multani could conceivably fight a Dreadnought. That's in the realm of possibility here.
Mm-hmm.
So got that. as well as I have natural order in hand. So yeah, if I lead on blossoms and he doesn't counter it, or if he does, I pretty much know he has a haymaker, and I've got a naturalize at least for the Armageddon, or I have a naturalize for a dreadnought. So then the next thing that I would probably go for is he's probably leading up to Armageddon.
Makes sense. Yeah, no, it was a great match to watch, back and forth. Lots of surprises, lots of awesome stuff to see.
What was the therapy? Did you resolve that therapy? The mid game one, not the initial one that you named Dreadnought, but like the one in that sequence. Did you?
Yeah, before the blossoms.
Yeah. What did you name?
Okay. Yeah, I think I named Counterspell.
Okay.
Okay, that makes sense.
Oh yeah, it was Counterspell.
Yeah, so he'd played one Counterspell and one foil, and he was holding up double blue, so it was either going to be Counterspell or foil for the first one.
Okay. I think that wraps up my questions. I'm just looking back in chat.
I'm sure chat wants to get to bed, as does Tom over there.
Well, we did make up some time. You guys played. It was a little bit shorter than the last match, so. But it was actually a really interesting match just in that short amount of time too. So.
It really was.
Is there anything else, players, you wanted to add before we let you guys go?
Congrats to the top 4. It's been a pleasure. Always is. So, yeah.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Well,
yeah, Michael, good game. I'll just add in real quick, just like, yeah, this it was amazing so far, and it's weird because, like, we're all, we build these friendships, and it's like I told Michael, I was like, I wish we didn't know anybody so I can just scoop you in, but it's just like, it's like, we're playing just for like the content here, and there's no prize on the line. It's just like, we're a GP, I'm scooping them in, but it's unfortunate. We just like a little bit, we have to play it out, but it's also fun, So.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, we'll let you guys go. We'll take a quick look at our.
Kill me.
What? What?
What about him?
What'd you say, Tom?
Oh, I said my wife is going to kill me.
Oh,
so
I thought you said Mike was killing me or something. Okay, so all right, so yeah, go.
Oh no, just my wife will kill me. It's all good. Hopefully, I see you again.
Just let her know that you won your match. She should be really impressed by that.
Yeah, that's all.
That's all that matters.
Oh, she'll be real impressed.
Yeah. So. All right. Well, thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
All right. So let's take a quick look. We have our standings. So,
oh
God. Okay. So we had here. So the top, Jared won. So he's 5-2. Lanny lost. He's 4-3. Tom won. He's 5-2. Alvaro lost 3-4. Mike Arnold lost 3-4. Rich won 4-3. So I think it's just a clean cut there that it's Jared, Lanny, Tom, and Rich. And so I think then Jared will have the first seed, and I don't know who has the second. I guess Tom would have the second. And then I'm not sure between Lanny and Rich who has the third and fourth.
My big question is, can we get a PSS of all the last place finishers? Because I'm pretty sure I somehow ended up there. I feel like Jeff beat me, and he's got the same record.
Same record. Okay. So the
head-to-head. Yeah. We got the bottom seed, so impressive. Well, but no, this is going to be an amazing top 4. Just top quality players. I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah. On that note, like, we're still looking at scheduling on figuring out when we want to do the semis and finals. I know my schedule has recently changed, so I'll be working with the players, and I'll try and let everybody know as soon as I can. And then I also need to get some of the other matches up on YouTube. Sorry, I've been very busy, but those will be up soon. But yeah, I want to thank everyone for tuning in. I saw a lot of new names in the chat, and I appreciate that. Thanks for the people that followed and subscribed. Appreciate that support, and thanks everyone for chatting and keeping things moving, especially when we get those long games and we can kind of get distracted, and we try and have some fun and talk about some fun things, but also try and talk about the match as well. So thanks, Will, for jumping in the booth, and
my pleasure
for playing this season. I had a lot of fun watching you. So
glad you did.
With that, if you want to say anything, otherwise we'll sign off. And
no, last thing I'll say is it's always a pleasure to watch this, and make sure you're consuming its great content, great players. And if there's another PSS I can be becoming a part of, I will not come in 8th place. That's what I got.
All right, sounds good. All right, thanks everyone for watching. But until next time, take care.
All right, take care, guys.